Today on the channel, I'm going to talk about whether you should be using exact, phrase, or broad match keywords. Hey, Ed here from 10,000 Foot View, and I've got another Google Ads quick tip for you today. Just before I jump in, a reminder, please like our content and subscribe to the channel. We post about Google Ads at least once every week. Okay, so today, as I mentioned up front, I'm going to be talking about match types. And importantly, things have changed a lot over the last, I'd say, 2 years. And we're finding that broad match is a lot more important and a lot more powerful, particularly with accounts with larger ad spend. And exact match is still appropriate for quite a few smaller accounts, and particularly when you're launching a new campaign. And phrase match is kind of in the middle and often doesn't make any sense to run at all. So first off, I think anybody watching this is familiar with the basics of exact, phrase, and broad, but just quickly, exact matching keywords will give you the highest precision in terms of matching a search query to your keyword. Phrase match will give you a moderate matching, right? So it's going to draw more outside the lines, and broad has the most liberal matching. And we can see in this example that Google is giving with furniture store as a search query, as a keyword, which search queries might trigger an ad. But importantly, this is illustrative, and what happens in reality is often quite a bit different than what you expect. Most importantly, Google has basically made all of the keyword matches a lot more broad, such that exact is no longer exact and phrase is broad and broad is something else entirely. Um, so, what should you run? So for small campaigns where you're only going to get, say, 10 to 12 conversions a month, generally it's best practice these days to run exact match only. And that's because anything else, because Google will not have a lot of conversion data to lean on, it's not going to know what queries it should match. And what you'll find with phrase in particular is that you're going to see all kinds of irrelevant queries showing up, and you're going to be playing negative keyword whack-a-mole forever. Interestingly enough, broad match can sometimes perform a little bit better than phrase, but still, because of the lack of data, it's kind of the same situation in that scenario. So again, small campaign, 10 to 12 conversions a month, exact match is probably going to be the way to go for you. Or also in a scenario with a new campaign. So even if you have, if you have an account that's established, and you're going to create a new mid-size campaign. So say you're expecting like 25 conversions a month, 30, 40 maybe. You may want to start out with exact match and build up a good 30 to 60 days of conversion data, and then consider switching to broad match from there. And you may do that gradually. So I don't like the scenario of like, hey, we're just going to switch to broad match and flip the switch either in campaign settings or apply a recommendation or even to run an experiment. I think often those experiments are a little bit bogus. So generally what I recommend is just, if you're going to switch to broad match from an exact match campaign, just, if you've got 50 keywords, just like 3, 4, 5 keywords at a time, just add the broad match variation, and then just monitor performance. You can check the search queries against the broad match to see how they're doing over time. If everything's going well, just gradually add more broad match and then eventually pause the phrase match equivalents. So over a matter of a few months, you should be able to get those all switched up. So why use broad match these days? There are several reasons why broad match has improved a lot over the last kind of couple of years. And so, if I can find it here. So the advantage that broad match keywords have over exact and phrase are three things in terms of just performance, and that is broad match includes additional signals to determine which queries to match with. And so the first one is users' recent search activities. So that just means, if somebody has been searching for a plumber for the last couple of weeks, and you're a plumber and you're presenting your ad, then Google is more likely to serve that ad, even for a query that maybe is not quite as relevant because of the user's recent search activity, right? So it's assuming there's an intention from that user, a pre-existing intention to hire a plumber. And so it's more likely to show your ad for that query, right? So that's a performance advantage that you're not going to be able to figure out by looking at your search terms report. You might say like local plumber, well, that's pretty broad. Like I'd prefer to be serving my ad for somebody that's looking for a specific service. But what you're not taking into account is that Google understands that user has been looking for a plumber for a couple of weeks and just hasn't pulled the trigger yet. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the content on the landing pages and assets. So if you do have good quality landing pages, and that's key, and have good ads that are highly relevant and match with your keywords and the intent and what you're offering, then Google can take that information into account when it matches keywords to queries, right? So that again can improve the matching of the query, but also more so the matching of the intent of the user. And then the third thing is other keywords in the ad group can help that particular keyword match to queries, right? So if you have a well-developed keyword theme in each ad group that's highly matching, it's just not all over the place, then you're likely going to see better performance from broad match keywords. So those are the three advantages that phrase match and exact match do not have. And so going back to what I talked about up front, exact match is still going to give you the most precise matching. And when Google doesn't have a lot of data, particularly conversion data, to understand, what it is you're offering and what's actually going to convert, then, the exact match is going to allow you pretty high precision targeting, just assuming that the search query describes the intent well. But once you're doing more volume, the broad match is going to have these advantages that are very important. And we see in accounts, once you're getting like even 30, 40 conversions a month, but certainly on the higher end, like up to like when you're at 100, broad match works like magic. It just, you'll see all of the irrelevant queries kind of disappear. And everything's just going to work really efficiently for you. And you're going to have a lot more opportunity because you're going to have a lot more reach. The other important thing about broad match, and it's more future consideration, but it's kind of happening now, is that phrase match and exact match keywords do not qualify for AI overview or AI mode ads. And Google is rolling those out more and more. So it just means, if you're not running broad match or keyword list, by the way, so if you have a PMAX campaign or if you're using AI Max, then those would qualify. But I mean, if you're doing that and you haven't already switched to broad match, it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because broad match is kind of the interim step before you would add a PMAX campaign, or AI Max for that matter. And AI Max actually converts your keywords to broad match anyway, so it's kind of doesn't matter. But again, you're not going to qualify for that inventory if you're not running broad match or keyword lists. And more users are obviously, flipping into AI mode. And Google is quickly ramping up the number of ads it's showing in AI results. So, you're just going to have less access to search inventory, which is not a good thing. If we eventually get to a place where in a year from now, 50% of queries are showing AI results in overview with ads, and you're not there, you're missing a huge opportunity. So, these are kind of the two reasons. Again, broad match working a lot more efficiently when you're getting a lot of conversions. And broad match qualifying for these additional AI placements are very good reasons to try to migrate to broad match, assuming that you can do so, given the volume in your campaigner account. So that's my take on exact phrase and broad match for February 2026. We are slowly migrating the vast majority of our clients over to fully broad match. It's a process, as I said, do a few keywords at a time and make your way there slowly. That way, you're not going to suddenly take your campaign and have to like backtrack. But yeah, it's, broad match and PMAX and AI Max and all these things. We're going to need to all get there. It's a matter of the timing. And the timing will depend on kind of what your account looks like in terms of ad spend, conversion volume, and what have you. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. That is it for today. I will see you next time.